Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to pose a question to y'all that I asked myself, and that question is, if I had to sell all my guns but 3, what 3 would I keep and why? We're going to discuss that in this video, so let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As I mentioned in the intro, today I'm posing the question, if I had to sell all my guns but 3, which 3 would I keep and why, to cover all my bases. And today I want to give you guys my input, knowing what I know now. If I had to start from scratch, from owning 0 guns, if I could do it all over again, which 3 would I get and why? And I want to talk to you guys about that today. And we'll start off with pistols. Before we do, I first want to take a moment to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, which is Brownells. If you guys would like to support the channel, head to Range Day Bro, my website, check out the discounts page. Definitely don't use RDB10 to save and support the channel at the same time. So thank you to everyone for doing so. Now let's get into the handgun portion of the video. So for obvious reasons, the first gun I would keep is a reliable handgun. Now, if you've watched the channel for any length of time, you know that I'm a big Glock fan because that's what I have the most rounds on. There's no surprise, I have a Glock 45 Gen 6 as the placeholder for the handgun I'm gonna keep as one of my 3 guns I'm keeping. The reason for a handgun is everyday carry, obviously, easily concealable, obviously, personal defense, things like that. When the government's still standing, it's not really feasible to carry a long gun around to the grocery store. So if I had to keep 3 guns, one of them would be a handgun, but again, the Glock is just a placeholder. We'll talk a little bit more about the setups of each of these in the final conclusion when we get to the end and I name all 3 guns. We'll go over the setups of these, but very briefly, Radian Ramjet Afterburner and Comp. This is the Gen 6 for the Gen 6 Glock. We have the Trijicon RCR up top. This is an enclosed emitter red dot, which is great for when it's raining or if it's muddy, something like that. It's a good option to have. And then we have the Surefire X300 Turbo. So this is a high candela output light. It is fairly large. Another good option is the Streamlight. The point of this is that you can carry it every single day and that it's reliable. Those are the 2 main things. So the best gun you have is the gun that you have on you. So if it's too large to carry, even if you shoot it better, even if it has a higher capacity, it doesn't matter. So pick whatever handgun you're most likely to carry because it is a sacrifice to carry a gun every single day. It is a responsibility and a sacrifice. It's uncomfortable in most cases unless you're carrying some tiny LCP in your pocket. I'd argue that's probably more of a danger to you and others than it is to the bad guy. But anyways, I digress. It has to be reliable and you have to be willing to carry it every single day. And that's why I chose the Glock Gen 6. And this is also just a placeholder for all my other Glocks. I rotate through them. But if I had to keep just one, it would probably be this guy because if I wanted to, I could run a shorter light on here and get a smaller EDC holster for it. With the Surefire, you're stuck with a large holster, so just something to keep in mind. Your light, if you're running a light in your everyday carry gun, which I recommend, then you're gonna have to deal with the size of that light in the holster as well. So something to consider. And that was a pretty quick topic for the first gun. Handgun, not much to say there. Again, if I had to choose a hierarchy, because a lot of my friends and family and a lot of y'all ask me what I recommend, do I recommend this pistol or that pistol? If I had to kind of go down a list and name a hierarchy of like guns that I would recommend or brands rather that I'd recommend, there's pretty much only a couple that I don't recommend, SIG being one of them since their recent debacle with the 320 and the way they've handled that's been terrible, but it's pretty much Glock, Smith & Wesson, HK, you can't go wrong with CZ. The Springfield Echelon is one of my favorites as well. Ton of really good handguns, and please don't get offended if I didn't name your favorite here. Again, all that matters is that you test it with your carry ammo, that you shoot it regularly, you're competent with it, and that you're gonna be willing to carry it, because again, if it's sitting at home, it's no use to you. So get a good handgun, get a good holster, a good Kydex holster, train to be proficient enough to carry the one in the pipe and be confident enough to do that. And then after that, it doesn't really matter. So let's move on to the harder topic of the video, which is choosing a rifle, a barrel length, and a caliber. And we're gonna start off on the short end, and then we're gonna work our way up to the longer end, and then I'm gonna tell you guys at the end what my decision would be if I had to keep just 2 rifles. So I wanna start at the short end and give you guys some options as we work our way into longer guns. So at the short end, we have the Geisley Super Duty. This is chambered in 5.56. This is a 12.5-inch upper. And the reason I chose 12.5-inch is because that, for me, allows you in a lot of systems to go to mid-length, although this is a carbine length gas system, but it gives you a little bit more velocity on target with the 5.56 round, and it also still remains relatively wieldable and lightweight and balanced, because even though the rail is an inch longer, obviously the barrel is an inch longer than an 11.5, and so on and so forth with a 10-3, but it's still, as a 6'1" guy, this is still feels like a small gun to me. So depending on your build and what feels comfortable to you, this may be an 11.5, but the reason I chose this as one of the contenders, one of the runners up, I guess you could say, is because I think this fits an excellent role for home defense. You could put a Law Tactical folder on here and make this a good truck gun, and then you could still reach out to 500 or 600 yards with this, which I have done with a good piece of glass like the Attacker that we have on here, 1 to 8 on the top. So I wanted to show you guys this and bring up the Super Duty, the 12.5 barrel length. Again, this is a placeholder for whatever reliable 12.5 you have. I'm not saying you got to go out and buy something new, but if you were starting from scratch with 0 guns, this is a pretty good option when you couple it with this guy right here, which this started out as a 12.5 Spec War, but now it has a D. Wilson dimpled stainless steel barrel and is chambered in 6 arc. And this is gonna be a recurring theme here because the last time I did one of these videos, it was pretty much pistol, AR-15, I think it was a 12.5, and then like a 14.5, 6.5 Creedmoor. But you'll see this theme moving forward in the video, that 6 arc has kind of replaced the need for an AR-10 in a Second Amendment context, not in a big game hunting or I need to shoot a squirrel. When you pair it up, a 12.5 5.56 gun with a 12.5 6 arc gun, now what you've created is you've standardized somewhat. So you have the same, essentially same barrel length, same balance type gun. Now obviously we have a different optic on here because this 6 arc 12.5 is capable of reaching out much, much further than the 12.5 and the 5.56. So I have a different piece of glass on here. But for the sake of standardization, I can get as close as I can to my 12.5 gun, be able to train at high volumes with the 12.5 and 5.56, and then whenever I want to reach out or if I want more energy on target, even if I'm only shooting at 50 or 200 yards, whatever it is, I can switch over to the 6 arc and have that capability. Now, if you wanted to standardize even more, you could obviously put 2 of the same exact optic setups on this upper. You can get a second one for the 6 arc upper, then you could have it be truly one-to-one comparison, but then obviously your holds are going to be different because the 6 arc is much more ballistically efficient, which is the beauty of the cartridge. So these two are the runners up for what I would choose, but I wanted to show you guys this as an option because if you live in a very mountainous area or a very flat area, you have big open lines of sight, and you may want to reach out one day, whether it be for a PRS match or for that Second Amendment context, and you want to have that capability to be supersonic past 1,000 yards, then maybe the 12.56 arc isn't it for you, because this thing is absolutely capable from 0 out to 800, 900, 1,000 yards. I've done it before, but it wouldn't be the gun I would be choosing if I knew I was shooting out past 800 yards, just to be honest. So I wanted to show you guys this option. Again, we can cover more of the specifics later in the video. Let me lay these guys down out of the way, and we'll move on to what I believe is the #1 choice for the 2 rifles I would keep in this 3 gun package. Boom. Right here we have the Geissele URGI, or Upper Receiver Group Improved. It is just on a standard mil-spec lower. And again, if you already have an AR-15, which most likely you do if you're watching this channel, then a lot of this will just apply to the upper receivers. But again, the URGI 14.5 is just a placeholder for whatever reliable 14.5 you own or that you like. It doesn't have to be a Geissele product. I'm just a big fan of their products. This coupled with this guy right here, boom, the Geissele 14.5 GFR. This is the Recce 14.5 GFR. You can see the theme moving forward here, guys. So we have 2 guns that are exactly the same barrel length, one chambered in 5.56 and one chambered in 6 arc. Again, the same idea as the 12.5 rifles. So now I have a gun I can train at high volumes with. If I keep it in a relatively similar configuration to the 6 arc 14.5, then I can get a lot of high volume training with this guy, work on my fundamentals, work on my up close stuff. Then you could switch over to this in the phased array gas block system. And again, we have a full review on the Geissele 14.5 inch GFR. The phased array gas block system just means there's multiple staggered gas blocks, which leads to a very light recoiling system for a 6 arc gun. So you can go from this URGI with the RC2 suppressor on it, which not the best setup. I prefer flow-through cans these days, or at least hybrid cans. The RC2 is one of the oldest serving suppressors in the U.S. Armed Forces, and it's just very popular suppressor. It's been around for many decades. So that system isn't exactly soft recoiling, and this 14.5 with the Huxworks flow-through can on the end of it is about the same or less recoil than that URGI upper with the RC2. And as you can tell, standardization, again, we have similar optic setups. We have the EOTech 1 to 10 Voodoo on the GFR, and we have the Primary Arms PLX-C on the URGI upper. So very similar setup, both with a Holosun 509T top dot. So I can get the same training, I can get the reps in with the 5.56, but now we've increased our barrel length and also our velocity in both the 5.56 as well as the 6 arc. And now we're getting better ballistics out to further ranges with the 6 arc and that extra 2 inches of barrel. It may not seem like a lot, but going from a 12.5 to a 14.5 in both the 5.56 and the 6 arc does make a big difference. It actually makes a bigger difference on the 5.56 than it does on the 6 arc But either way, more velocity equals better expansion equals less drop. All the good things that come with a faster bullet, whether it be 5.56 or 6 ARC. So this is probably the answer for me, but I want to throw in a little wild card, I guess you could say, at the end here and just give you guys one more option, because recently I was able to acquire this 16-inch Recce GFR from Geisley, and Geisley did send this out. So big shout out to them for supporting the channel. This one, if you might notice, has their ambidextrous lower. So all of the new GFRs moving forward will have their ambidextrous lowers, and I believe all their Super Duty complete rifles will as well. I think they're going away from the mil-spec lowers. The point is, now we have a 16-inch upper, and obviously this lower will be the one that comes on the 14.5. If you were to order it today, it would be this ambidextrous lower on this 14.5. You don't need to buy the 16-inch in order to get the ambi lower. This is the GFR Mod 1 is what it's called. But the same thing applies when you go from a 14.5 6 ARC to a 16-inch 6 ARC. You get even better ballistics, which means better wind resistance, less drop, and better expansion on target at longer ranges. So the wild card here is that if you wanted to stick with a 14.5 URGI upper in 5.56 and go with an even slightly longer 6 ARC upper to get better ballistics out the range, I think that the 16-inch is a good compromise. And seeing as that most people out there already have a 16-inch uppered AR-15 due to NFA BS, this might be the gun that you would want to get in order to standardize that. Instead of, if you don't already have a 14.5 for whatever reason and you have a 16-inch upper, then the 16-inch GFR is going to be a great option as well. The reason I bring up the 16-inch GFR is because, as I mentioned, I made an earlier video several months ago talking about the last 3 guns you'll ever need. And that last gun, aside from the pistol and the AR-15, was an MRGGA, which is a 14.5-inch 6.5 Creedmoor AR-10. The reason I'm such a big fan of the 6 ARC, again, in the Second Amendment context, is because this gun is going to do everything that that 14.5 6.5 Creedmoor is going to do at a significant weight reduction and ammo capacity increase. So you have 29 round magazines, YouTube, that will work with the 6 ARC platform, increasing your ammunition capacity. Now, it doesn't solve the issue that a lot of people mention when it comes to 6 ARC, which is compatibility with your teammates. However, as you guys can see from the footage, you can get one of these GFR rifles and use your URGI upper on this lower and swap back and forth. And the reason I mentioned getting the GFR instead of getting the URGI as a complete gun or a Super Duty as a complete gun, because currently Geisley does not offer a standalone upper receiver for the GFR. So if you wanted this setup, you would have to get the whole rifle, and then you could just get the URGI upper and pair it with this, and it'll run flawlessly, as you guys can see from the footage. So why is it these 3 guns, right? This is kind of the bonus, I guess you could say, versus the 14.5 GFR, because that would allow me to cover all my bases from concealed carry to home defense to 1,000+ yards. And so really, if I started from scratch, it would only be 2 serialized items, 2 firearms technically, and then I would just purchase the URGI upper separately and pair it with the GFR lower and run that whenever I'm doing high volume or close range training. So now that we've covered my 3, I wanna hear from you guys down in the comments. What 3 would you keep if you had to sell all your guns but 3? Or if you were starting from scratch, what 3 would you get and why? I wanna go ahead and get into the setups on several of these because I know you guys are gonna have questions and hear about my experiences with these and why I chose these specifically. As I already mentioned, a few little things here and there, but we're gonna go into the nitty gritty, so thank you for sticking with me. If you guys wanna hear more, stick around. We're gonna get into the details. So, starting right here with the Glock 45, this is the Gen 6, so they call it something else besides MOS, but it's optic ready. I wanna give you guys a little bit of nitty gritty. We're gonna have a full review coming out on this soon, as well as the 16-inch GFR. We already have reviews on everything else here on the table, so go check those out if you guys are interested. Let's just talk about the pros and cons of this handgun right here. So number 1, the grip texture is much improved. Beaver tail is a little bit too big. They could have gone halfway between the Gen 5 and what it is on the Gen 6. The optic mounting system is superior, but the plates they include are still terrible. And in fact, I just got the replacement plates from Maple Leaf Firearms. This is the optic adapter plate for Glock Gen 6, ORS, Optic Ready System, I believe it is. And it's actually steel, which is very nice. It actually has some recoil lugs that are made of steel, and it fills the gap between the front and the back of the optic. In this case, the RMR footprint, which the RCR does take. Now let's briefly talk about the RCR. This is not a review on it. I love the optic. I hate the mounting system. I understand they had some constraints to work around in order to get it to fit the original RMR footprint, but I always have these things walk loose, and just today, I broke that little tool that they give me because I was fed up. It walked loose at the range again, and I was fed up with it walking loose, so I threw a bunch of blue Loctite on there, and I was just torquing it down with this little tool that they include for tightening it down, and I actually broke the bent piece off in the screw itself. You're probably not gonna be able to see it on camera, but maybe you can see it shining right there. That silver piece right there, that is part of that screw, that tightening wrench they send with it. And I know they send a little card, they tell you not to over torque it, but again, I've had this thing walk loose like 4 times. So I'm just fed up with it, and I was just cranking it down as tight as possible, and I broke the screw, which is probably by design so you don't damage the optic. but I'm kind of fed up with this system. But I just wanted to be fully transparent. I do like it. It's a good window. It's a top mounted battery. The dot's very bright. It auto adjusts really well, and the buttons are massive on both sides. So I wish that it would stop walking loose, and someone's probably gonna tell me that's user error, but I just wanted to give you guys my opinion on that. This is the brand new Gen 6 Radiant Afterburner Ramjet combo for Gen 6 Glocks, obviously. It's very easy to install, which is the best part about it. Still comes with the factory plastic Glock sights. Again, not a fan of those at all. It's kind of a slap in the face for the price tag on these pistols, in my opinion. They do have the undercut, they have the improved stippling, wider grip here, as far as it has some palm swells on it. And other than that, I think that's all of it, right? There's some gas pedals up here, if you want to call them that. Just some stippling added up here. Pretty much just looks like Glock took all the custom stipple jobs that people were doing and did it from the factory, which I can appreciate. Especially that undercut helps a lot. So that's pretty much it for the pistol. We did have a couple malfunctions. I do believe it was ammunition related because I didn't have malfunctions with any other type of ammo. And I'll show you guys now on the screen what that was. I believe it was PMC bronze jacketed hollow points. So, but you guys can see it on the screen. We had some issues with that cycling. But besides that, we had no issues with the Federal HST that I actually use for everyday carry, and then also all of the ball ammunition we put through it. So, and those are the first rounds I put through this. I just picked this up the other day. So we have about 250 rounds through this thing. So now moving back from there, we have the 12.5 inch Super Duty upper from Geisley. This guy's rocking the 1-8 attacker on the top with a top mounted RMR. This is the Steiner CQB-L. They don't make this anymore. Have a CAC Industries muzzle device in the front, which accepts Plan B style hub adapters. I really like that. Chrome line barrel. Geisley has phenomenal accuracy out of their chrome line barrel, so I'm a big fan of Geisley chrome line barrels, and they're gonna last much, much longer than a stainless steel barrel, so I really enjoy that. Best charging handle in the business. Reliability, enhanced bolt carrier group. What else can I say? It's a Geisley, it runs phenomenally well. Let's go ahead and talk about the spec war in 6 ARC. So this, as I mentioned briefly earlier, is a D. Wilson manufacturing dimpled stainless steel barrel. This is by far the most accurate semi-automatic gun that I own. With Hornady ELDM 108 grain 6 ARC ammunition, I was able to achieve a 0.6 MOA 10 round group with this thing. And again, I have a whole video on this, so if you're interested in this barrel or this setup, go check it out. But D. Wilson made these. I believe they're still selling them, and RDB10 may or may not help you out over there. So a huge fan of this. It looks phenomenal, it's dimpled, and it retains that quick change system that LMT is known for. Monolithic upper receiver. On the top, we have the primary arms SLX 3-18 by 50, first focal plane, Athena reticle. Phenomenal 3-18 for the money. It is in the primary arms mount. The only issue I had with this mount was I was really hoping to mount a top dot on here, but because this knob is so big, I would need some kind of mile high riser in order to be able to even see the dot. So that's why I'm not running it with a top dot on here. So eventually I may get a diving board and put a laser rangefinder on here, and this may find its way to a different gun, but I wanted to prove the accuracy of this barrel. And for that, I like high magnification, and that's why I left it on here. This is the most accurate gun I own, even when you consider bolt guns. I don't shoot a lot of bolt guns, so take that with a grain of salt, but 0.6 MOA in a 10 round group at 100 yards is pretty phenomenal. Again, CAC Industries Plan B style muzzle device in the front. We have Geisley charging handle in here. This is the CAC Industries downward venting bolt carrier group, and it has a JP bolt, 6 ARC bolt in here. CAC Industries lower, again, mil-spec lower. For mil-spec lower, CAC Industries is one of my favorite. For like basic, just good basic parts, I tend to go to CAC, which is KAK, not the KAC, who hates civilians. CAC, KAK loves civilians. Now moving on to the 14.5 GFR, this gun absolutely blew me away when I first shot it. Mostly due to the phased array gas block system. That makes this thing shoot super soft. And then secondly, due to the accuracy out of a chrome line barrel, I was able to achieve a 0.9 MOA group, so just under an inch for 10 rounds at 100 yards with this 14.5 inch upper. So again, I think there's a lot of things that I covered in the review of this gun that Geisley has done to improve the reliability, the longevity of their 6 ARC bolts and their uppers and everything. So go ahead and check that video out. But in general, let's talk about the setup really quickly. This is pin and welder with a Huxworks flash hider in the front. That's what it comes with. And it is phenomenally comfortable to shoot it with a flow through can. I shoot this thing with the Huxworks Flow 6K, which you'll see on the 16 inch upper in a moment. And I love the flow through cans because guns don't realize they're there. And that becomes more and more important the larger the caliber gets. Like an AR-10s, that's way more important than it is on an AR-15 in my opinion. We have a Surefire Scout MD640 light on the front with just a 100 Concepts light cap, and we have just a button press in the back to actuate it. This Holosun Iris Gen 3, I'm a big fan of it for the price. It's about $1,000. Obviously, it's not really competing too well with a full power unit, but compared to the civilian units that I've seen, like the Malls and all that, it stacks up pretty well for the price point. Has a very easy and quick diopter adjust up here, so you can adjust your spill, your splash on your illuminator, and it has a slaved visible and IR laser, so it's very easy to zero. We have the pressure pad back here. We do have an MDT ARCA, 3-slot ARCA mount in the back. We have the Stoic Solutions Streamline Barricade Bag, RDB10 over at Stoic. These things are phenomenal. It just works off of bungees, so you just can clip them on and off very easily. And if you're shooting off of any kind of adverse position, whether it be a tank trap or a barricade or something like that, it does give you increased stability. It weighs like just over 3 ounces, so you don't even notice the weight, and it stays out of the way. And again, if you want to take it off, it's as easy as just pulling this bungee down, and then you can remove it and set it aside if you don't want it on there. So very easy to take on and off. I'm a big fan of these barricade bags. Again, RDB10 from Stoic. Moving back from there, we have an HRF Concepts magwell. I don't believe these will be compatible with the ambidextrous lowers from Geisley because it seems to be a different magwell design, a billet lower, I believe. But all the other goodies that come on Geisley rifles, they're checkered takedown pins, just very high quality parts. We have the Maritime bolt catch and release, which is my favorite. Geisley supercharging handle, their GFR stock, which a lot of people are asking me questions about what stock is this. It's the one that comes in the GFR, but it has QD points right here in the back. It also has a back plate with a QD point that says Geisley, really well done. The castle nut looks like a fancy castle nut, properly staked, as you'd expect. Again, the bolt carrier group and all that, reliability enhanced, hammer forged bolt head, all that good stuff. Again, go watch that video if you want more details. As far as the optic choice on here, I did previously have the 3-18 on here from Leupold, the Mark V HD, but I switched over to the EOTech Voodoo 1-10 because I wanted to run my clip-on thermal in front of here, which you guys can see that featured. We took some pigs down with this thing at 100 yards with the DNT Hydra. So I went with a shorter optic, a 1-10 LPVO, so that I could run that clip-on thermal in front and kind of have the most versatile gun I could put together possibly. So the EOTech was a great host for that type of system. And it has the Badger Condition 1 mount. This is a 1.7-inch height mount, and it has a top-mounted Holosun 509T with 100 Concepts ARDs on the front, if that's your thing. So I think I pretty much covered everything on here. And as far as the URGI goes, we have a 14.5-inch pin and welded barrel with a Surefire muzzle device per the URGI contract. This has the NSN numbers engraved on it. If that's a big deal to you, if you're a cloner, you'll probably really like that. You'll probably get off on that. I don't really care, but I kind of wish I had the 14.5 Super Duty upper. Honestly, after shooting the Super Duty side by side with the URGI, I prefer the Super Duty. Barrel contour is better, a lot of the things. So I kind of wish I had a 14.5 Super Duty upper, but I'm stuck with this one, and it's not a bad upper by any means, but again, I love the flow through cans, and I'm stuck with a Surefire on this guy. So chrome line barrel, again, very, very accurate gun for being a chrome line barrel. It has the Mark 16 rail, but unlike the Super Duty, it has the tabs on the back here. Let's talk about the setup really quickly. Surefire RC2 in the front, as we already mentioned. Has a Surefire 4-prong underneath, for those of you wondering. Moving back to the optic, we have the Primary Arms PLX-C 1-8. I'm a really big fan of this optic. It's very lightweight, it's very small for its capabilities. The eye box is a little bit tight at 8X, but all of them are from what I found. So I can't really complain about that. For the size and weight, it is a phenomenal optic. And again, a Holosun 509T, this one has the ACSS reticle in it on the top in the primary arms mount. So unlike the 3-18 on this guy, this top dot mounts up perfectly and it goes right over the top turret. You can see the entire window for your top mounted dot. We have, again, some 100 Concepts scope caps on here. I'm a big fan of this optic, and now they have a red dot bright version of it, which I should be getting here on the channel hopefully soon. Comes with the Geisley airborne charging handle, obviously. We just have a Magpul. I mean, this is not the CTR. This is like the cheaper version of the CTR. And Geisley super dynamic 3-gun trigger. We have HRF Concepts magwell on here. We're running an HRT tactical sling, and I believe that covers everything besides the 16-inch GFR, so let's pull that out. So last, but certainly not least, is the 16-inch GFR. As you guys can tell, this thing is geared towards more of an AR-10 setup or a DMR type setup, I would say. This is high power magnification with a 3-18 on here, 16-inch gun. I haven't grouped this thing yet. I haven't even zeroed it yet, but I just got it yesterday and I have it set up, so I'll tell you guys exactly the setup, what it is. This is actually a thicker profile barrel than the 14.5. It looks like an H-bar almost profile barrel. So I have no doubt that this barrel will perform at least on par or better than my 14.5 GFR, but without that proof, I can't really say yet. It looks like this thing has a rifle length gas system, 16-inch barrel, as I mentioned, cold harbor forged chrome line. We do have the Huxworks Flow 6K on the front. Great little can. Obviously these are supersonic rounds, so it's not super quiet. And to me, it's more about that signature reduction. I've had no issues with it with flash, and it eliminates blowback completely, which is phenomenal. A Surefire Vampire up here at the front, and we have a little pressure pad right here. May or may not keep that pressure pad, I'm not sure. But for right now, it works on a longer handguard. I want to get that light as far forward as possible to eliminate as much shadow on that suppressor as possible. Just some electrical tape around here because I don't have any fancy cable management panels yet. I may or may not invest in some of those, but that's all I got going on right there. Rail scales in the back. Again, Stoic Solutions slimline barricade bag. For barricade work, it's just the best solution in my opinion. And then on the top, we have the Leupold Mark V HD, 3.6 to 18, phenomenal optic for its weight and size. It has their zero lock system where you have to actually push a button in order to change your 0 point, your elevation, which is very cool. We have a capped windage adjustment. This is in the Geisley Super Precision mount that is made specifically for this optic. It is a phenomenal mount, just like everything Geisley makes. I know I'm gonna call it a fanboy in the comments, that's okay. They just make the best stuff. I mean, it is a bit pricey, but it is on par with all the other quality companies out there, and I think they just go above and beyond as far as the engineering and the materials they use, and also the quality control. All the same improvements on the upper receiver. It has that steel insert in the upper to make it last longer, hammer forged bolt, all the same improvements as the 14.5, same charging handle, same everything in here in the back. Now where we get to a difference is gonna be the lower, and this is gonna be the lower on the 14.5 moving forward as well. This is their fully ambidextrous lower, and I think that they did it the best out of any ambidextrous lower I've ever used. So when you need to lock this bolt to the rear, you pull the charging handle back and the dust cover will open up, and the dust cover will actually impact this button right underneath it. If you could see right there, that high point just underneath my finger right here. And then you could just simply push down on the dust cover, and that'll lock the bolt to the rear. And then to release it, you have this button right back here to release it. So if I had to choose a perfect ambidextrous lower for me personally, this is the most important function, is being able to lock the bolt to the rear. And I think that Geisley with this dust cover system really hit the nail on the head. It's the perfect place. It's very hard to miss. I just really, really love this system. To me, it's pretty ingenious and it works phenomenally well. I'm a big fan of what they did with this ambi lower. It's got an enlarged trigger guard, the same Geisley A17 grip as the 14.5, the same selector switch, and everything else. But from now on, they're gonna be shipping the GFRs with these ambi lowers, which I think is already upping the ante on an already high value product like the original GFR. So I'm a huge fan of this. I can't wait to see what I can do ballistically with this, what this thing chronos at and how it groups as well. So I'll keep you guys updated. We'll have a full review coming out on this 16-inch GFR Mod 1 here shortly on the channel. And that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for the video, guys. Thank you so much for staying to the end. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. If you guys do want to support the channel, head to Range Day Bro. You know what? Use RDB10 at most places. You can check out the discounts page on my website, but it will save you guys while supporting the channel at the same damn time. So thank you so much to everyone for doing so. Love you guys. As always, Christ is King. Drink a lot of water. Stay safe, stay dangerous. Range Day Bro, out.